Hello folks, Bishop Quan here, and today I'm going to be going a little bit in deep talk today about, how my view on one thing has affected my view and understanding of another thing. And that thing is, I'm a big martial artist. I've been doing it for 11 years and trying to keep it counting, whether it be like through solo training or through every now and then I try to go to a certain gym and like do some sparring, do some grappling, try some classes. But I've been doing, I pretty much was an instructor for 6 years and almost counting for like a long time. And on top of that, I've been in through the dojo scene through a number of times and have done some awesome sparring. And I'm here to let you know I'm big on martial arts. I'm a nerd on martial arts. But one of the other things that has influenced that kind of went along the same ways as that is pretty much my view on religion, on spirituality. Especially in a way this year, because this year, there's been a lot of awakening of certain stuff, and even like with the movie Sinners, and even the movie the year before that, the Exorcist Believer, there's pretty much a lot of linkages or homages to other religious spiritualities that could be a positive benefit. So this will be pretty much a deep dive on how martial arts has helped me understand and has affected my view on religion. So to start it off, before I got into officially martial arts dojo, pretty much I was raised, in the South. And if you're raised in the South, 9 times out of 10, you're at least taken to church a few times, if not like a good bit of times. My experience with that is, yes, I was raised in church. Specifically, I don't know what Christian sect. We'll just say like pretty much to broaden it, Christianity in a way. And I went to it to where I did a few Wednesdays. I did one week-long camp at one point, which involves kind of like one of my favorite and most also embarrassing boxing stories, because this camp allowed like some boxing at night. And yeah, it's been mostly like either if it wasn't Wednesday, it was pretty much a Sunday thing, and then sometimes it'd be a camp thing. And I pretty much went to 2 different churches. And yeah, but now for me, officially, I want to say I'm a Christian spiritualist, I would say, which is like I do believe in the one, but I also believe that, there's so many things you can kind of take, just like in a way like MMA, take what's useful. I kind of have that same mindset, because on top of that, I do practice some things that could be, Buddhist. I do practice some things that could be from different spiritualities, whether it be from, the hoodoo spirituality. I do even mess with like some oracle cards, tarot here and there. But that's pretty much a part of what I glimpse into. Like I believe it all to be a spiritual mix in a way. And the reason why I want to do this is because I think it'd be something to maybe help someone else who happens to be what I like to classify as religiously or spiritually open, but they're grounded in their beliefs, they're grounded in what they 100% want to go for. So one of the things that I notice with religion and martial arts, the linkage, is that they happen to vouch that they are effective, that they happen to vouch that they are the one true thing. And I want to say they are to a certain degree. The reason why I say they are to a certain degree is because just like there's so many martial arts, there's so many religions you can dive into, you can look into. And the thing is that you want to be able to make sure that you look for the martial art that is effective, not only for you, but also that, that might have some actual linkage, that might have some actual purpose, that might have some actual practical application, or even like practical advice. And I say that because, with just as there as many martial arts and people practice those, there are just as many religions that practice those. But the thing is that there's always the squabble of just like, no, this one's not effective or that one's not effective. They all vouch that they are effective. And that's when people start to get fighting. It's like, well, if all these effective, then which one do you choose? Simple. You choose the one that you connect with the most. You choose the one that hits the most. And the reason why I say that is because when you look into it deep down, all these just like in the martial arts, all these spiritualities, all these religions, they want to shine about the good side. But I find it very interesting that they don't want to shine upon the bad side. Like, for instance, one of the most interesting things that I find is, there is the Christianity, if you will. Christianity, one of the biggest, most well-known religions in the world, besides the one that comes second, which is, of course, what people would deem the opposite one, which is like Islam or the sect religion. I forgot the other one specific, but pretty much the ones that are like in the Middle East. That's pretty much big. But pretty much the main thing that a lot of Christian-like based faith wants to exhibit is they want to say that they are the true religion, that there's no good that comes, there's no bad that comes from it, in a way. But when you look at it, even through like the history of how Christianity has been used in certain scenarios, it's just like most of the religions, it still has some dirt under its fingernails, if you will. And I say that because when you think about it, when you have, when you believe like, the Christian faith, they're very kind, they're very awesome people, until, as usual, as funny as it is, you don't believe in the same faith that we are. Then when they do that, they have to probe, they have to question. And in some cases, some of them just go straight to, well, if you don't believe in this is the one-way truth here. If you don't believe in this, then technically you're going to hell. And I find that to be problematic because, it's been some of the Christian faith, some of the people who practice Christian faith that jump into that while also not skipping the fact that Christianity has been used in very devious, even dark ways, Besides, I guess, the Crusades, which is way back. It has been noted that, that the slavery in America was influenced by people using the Holy Bible, Christianity, as a way to get people to follow, to get people to do this certain thing. And even before that, Christian, that person has been known as the Christian faith in some way, has been used, even heard, possibly the Indians, like the people who were first on the Americas, to herd them and to have certain things justified. And I think there's not much talk about that because in some cases people don't want to talk about that. I find it interesting that in most places, religion wants to talk more about the positive, but they also want to cover up the negative, knowing full well that the negative is there because it's basically shown that it was influenced by, of course, by people. And it happens. But I don't 100% believe that the fact that, the religion side, the religion in general, should not be shamed 100% for that. And in most cases, people would say exactly close to the same thing, but I'm gonna give more detail as to why I think that. One of the reasons that I think that is because besides me doing multiple martial arts and playing with people doing different martial arts, and they not only view their effectiveness, there was one guy that I stumbled upon on YouTube, and also he is one of the head teachers of the American martial art known as 52 blocks, a very defensive blocking style for boxing and striking, and also streetwise style. And one of the quotes that he sticks with, which I still love and use to this day, is that pretty much the art never loses, the practitioner does. And most of the time when it comes to if you're going on any kind of religious or spiritual path, you have to keep that in mind, that even if you do something and the art, the God of that art, the spirit of that art or that religion they don't happen to completely agree, you have to understand that it's not the art's fault. It's the art who never loses. It is the practitioner. And I say that because when you really think about it, with so many arts here, we have to come to understanding not everyone is going to go to one art. And not everyone should go to one art. I mean, just like there are different flavors of the world, different foods of stuff, if everyone was completely one religion, the world will be a little bit interesting. It might be different. There might be some semblance of world peace, if you will. Or on the flip side, there might be some semblance of a dictatorship. But however the case is most of the time you have to keep in mind, is that pretty much the art never loses. The spirituality, the religion never loses. It's the practitioner that does, whether it be because something that they did or something that they didn't do. It's always the practitioner, and that's what I want to influence mostly with this talk, is I want to keep you in mind that all the arts, as Muhammad Ali would say, as all the arts, all religions, they do contain some truth. We have to look at that truth and see what resonates with us the most and what doesn't resonate with us the most. Now, granted, this also goes with that thin line, and I say thin line because just as much as I know there are that 90, close to 99.5% of religion, it's not really dark, it's not really evil. There is, of course, the 5% that is, of course, out there that is very dark, that's very evil, that still believes in sacrifice, or that still believes in, worshiping a dark deity, if you will. But I'm also a fan of making sure that you do your own due diligence, you do your research, and not only research religion, research the people who practice that religion. Because the reason why I'm not 100% saying that I'm a Christian, but I say I like to have I'm a Christian spiritualist. I pretty much have influences that can link back to Christianity, just as much as I have influences that link back to other religions, but it's mostly based in Christianity. The reason why I choose that is because there have been, experiences that I've went to church for that, I would 100% agree with, 100% go with. But then, of course, there's a side to where it's where the religion was used and during certain times, I don't agree with. I don't believe that you should go around and think if someone doesn't have the same religious beliefs that I do, they're wrong. I don't 100% believe that. I don't even 30% believe that. That's not good at all. On top of that, there have been times to where I've experienced something in the church that I've had that's kind of had me tilt a little bit differently, maybe go well, why did that happen? Why would that happen? Why should that happen? Why did you say that the way that you just did? Because there have been experiences to where it has shown me in certain churches to where how something was spoken can be a mixture between, hey, it is completely fine to shame someone else, which I'm no, I don't completely accept that, to another talk that I remember with one of the churches that I went to where after a while it said that if this religion and this religion ever come to terms, if they ever come to peace, then the world's then the world's going to be gone. And I'm just also was thinking well, shouldn't world peace kind of be something to go for? So basically what you're telling me is that even if people set aside their differences and they accept that this is the way that you want to be, that this is the way that this person wants to be, that we should come to terms with that, and we should, as long as we show respect with each other, that we should be okay. You're telling me that if that ever happens, that someone should throw a monkey wrench and cause World War III. I don't 100% agree with that either. because life is already quite difficult. But now you literally told me that literally even when the world can come across the possibility of world peace, that it's still not going to happen, because even in a certain religious text, even in a certain religious way, that they're not going to be accepting of peace. They're not going to be accepting of respecting other religions. And that goes on both sides, because I remember hearing something from another religion that in their text that they have similar views about that, which is why certain religions will probably always be continually butting heads. But the fact of the matter is that, remember, that is the art. You are the practitioner. Practitioner, you can still influence certain things. You can still go for certain things. And that kind of leads with my main view that I have seen, that I've observed, which is basically people should try to be the example, not command the example. And I mean that as there's been multiple times in my life that I've tried to be, just a good person, pretty much going with the values from what I've known from certain philosophies, certain religions. And I do find that the most interesting and nicest comment that I've ever gotten was that, you must be of this faith. You must be a high Christian. You must be of this. And I was go, what makes you say that? And they're like, because you act like this. Like, you have a good calm about yourself. You have a good positivity about yourself. And I think if 90% of people who practice the religion kind of go from that, then most of the time you don't have to say, hey, I am this religion. No, you can be an awesome example. And then if the question does pop up, you can be like, oh, I'm like this. And be like, huh, that's interesting, because you have such compose. You are such an awesome, a kind, an understanding kind of individual. And I just think that, we should shine on that, because that is an interesting thing to see. That's interesting to look at. And I think if more religious people, more spiritual people did that, instead of possibly having certain talks about like, well, if you don't believe in this, then I have nothing to talk to you about. Or in the worst cases, if you don't believe in this, you're going in the hell of my spirituality. You're going into the worst of my spirituality. I think the world will probably tick a little bit better. Granted, also know that we are all human. That the fact that one person can read one text and interpret it one way, and a person can read that same text and interpret it another way, is why the world is in a way such an interesting place to be. Because you can have 10 people read the same text, and probably a mixture of 3 groups to like everybody can interpret that text differently. And the question usually goes, well, what is the right way to interpret the text? And reverts back to the quote, remember, the art doesn't lose, it's the practitioner that loses. So if we go by that, then basically in which way can we interpret that text that makes the practitioner of that spirituality, that practitioner of that religion look better, that looks more awesome, that looks more respectable. And I think that needs to be into account with a lot of other things, because to be fair, I do think we shouldn't have, as the Perfect Circle song would suggest, I think we can probably use a lot more peace, love, and understanding, especially during these worlds, especially during this time where things are always on the brink of either collapsing or flourishing. Things are always on the brink of being 100% in peace or 100% in war. And I think that is always the subject that we should look at. And I implore you that, just like with martial arts, you find what connects with you, that you find what you like, that you find that what is effective. I implore you that the people who may be lost in religious or in spiritual pursuits, that you find the religious or spiritual pursuit that you deem interesting, but also that you deem talks to you and respects you in good standing and causes you to be a better person. And the reason why I say that is also because, there have been many talks that this religion doesn't work or that religion doesn't work. But at the same time, there have been people who have changed their lives dramatically because of that religion in positives. I think I even remember one actor who stated that he was raised in a Christian home, but for some reason he felt a little bit off about the religion. And then he read some stuff in Buddhism, and he literally said that's when, for some interesting reason, everything clicked. Like, I felt that this is the way, that I should move, that this is the way people should move. And because of that, that's when he went from Christian-based faith to Buddhist-like faith. Now, he could still feel, that there is a God, but he may also understand that, that the way that Buddhism is taught, how it is thought of, that this is the way that I need to think, that this is the spirituality or the patterns of thinking I need to go about. And that's what I implore with you with this talk today. Thank you for, enjoying my interesting TED Talk. This is your boy Quan. If this resonated, if this helped open your eyes a little bit on how to view or how to go about your own spiritual or religious experience, please let me know. Send me a like, send a share, do all of that. On top of that, if you haven't already experienced some kind of Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you. You have some good food, and want to keep in mind that you want to remember to, one, the art never loses, the religion never loses. It's the practitioners that do, and you should keep that in mind. And two, try your best, and this also, quote, I think influences me from, the philosophy of Stoicism, is that, be the example, don't command the example. You should try your best at whatever the best of that religion, that spirituality is. You try to embody those beliefs. You try to embody that person, that being. You try to be as positive with that belief as possible, but don't command it. Don't be like, hey, if you don't believe in this, it's bad. Don't think about that. Think about trying to be the example. And that's most of the time, that's usually how I try to move in my spirituality. And eventually, when you do that, I do have a feeling it'll not only cause an interesting effect, but it might also cause interesting questions about how certain people move, especially how you move. And because of you being such an awesome example in that religion, in that spirituality, it might even cause people to go, you know what? If they're acting like this, maybe that spirituality isn't that bad. Maybe that religion isn't that bad. Or, in some cases, for some people, they might even be like, hey, if they're acting like this, then maybe if I practice this religion, it might have the same effect. Maybe it's completely fine if you do, but don't. Trust me. All right, it's your boy Quan. Deuces.